go. Welcome back into the Skushy Sports Podcast, and today we are bringing you my absolutely way too early, a few months out, 2026 ladder predictions for the NRL season for 2026. Let's get straight into it. Before we get stuck in, you like the content, you like what you see, make sure you give it a massive like and subscribe to the channel as well. It literally takes 0.52 seconds of your time. Really does appreciate all the likes and subscribes that I get. Make sure you follow all my socials at Skushy Sports as well for your daily reels, sometimes posting twice a day as well. Let's get into it. As I said, we're doing my very early, way too early, 3 months out, still in 2025, 1st of December here, ladder predictions for next year's NRL season. I've gone through the NRL signings. I've looked at the teams. I've looked at the draws as well, as you would have seen a couple weeks ago. And I have put together my ladder predictions. And honestly, it is one of the toughest things to do. It's so bloody hard to predict how a ladder is going to be looking this time at start of September next year. But I've done it for you guys. I could be absolutely way off here, and I'll be the first one to put my hand up here. I reckon I've gone for a couple outlandish calls here, but hopefully I'll give you a little bit of reasoning as to why I've gone that sort of route and why I've sort of picked those teams to be top 4, why I've gone that team to be maybe finishing top 8. What smokies have I gone? Have I got a smoky finishing the minor premiers like we did this year with the Raiders? Are we going to see a potential new winner of the comp? Are we going to see a surprise packet in the top 8? Without further ado, let's get stuck into it. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to start from 17th and finish all the way up to 1st. So, my wooden spooners for the 2026 season is, unfortunately, going to be the St. George Illawarra Dragons. And honestly, I don't think it's like there's going to be a team that's just outlandishly worse than everyone else. I think it's kind of going to be similar, I guess, to this year. I guess the Knights had their moments. Their attack was just woeful. I don't think they started the season that bad, but when I look at this Dragons team and what have they lost more than they've gained? And they've lost a lot more than they've gained, in my opinion. I get it. They've got Daniel Atkinson coming from the Sharks, but until we've actually seen Daniel Atkinson properly starting as a number 7 or number 6 in a team, I just don't see where this team is really going. They've lost a lot of forwards up front as well. I get it. They've got a young forward pack coming through. Your Hamish Stewart, your Pacific Tongas. Just sort of that experience in the front row is where I think they'll sort of struggle. How is Gutho, how is Damien Cook going to go another year on in the NRL? How's Kyle Flanagan going to go? It just boggles my mind how he does continue to get opportunities. I get it. Shane Flanagan's there. Is Shane Flanagan a good enough coach to take a team that's pretty average on paper up to new heights? I just don't believe they are. So yeah, they are my wooden spoon pick for the 2026 season. Again, it wouldn't shock me if these other teams that I've picked a little bit ahead of them are down there as well, competing for the wooden spoon. But if we look at the odds now, the Dragons are $4.50 for the most losses. Essentially the third favourite to get the wooden spoon. Titans and Knights are the favourites at the moment. But let's get continuing on. In 16th place, you might be a little bit surprising, you might be not, especially if you're a fan of the team. I'm going to go in 16th place, second last. I am going to go the Manly Seagulls. Big shock, I know. But my big reasoning for Manly Seagulls is they just literally lost their captain. They've lost the number 7 that they've had since 2011, right? Daly Cherry Evans, I think, is a huge loss. I get it. The recruitment of Jamal Fogarty is probably one of the better ones out there. I think he's a top 10, 7 in the game. Kicking game is elite. But we all know their season literally depends on Tommy Trbojevic. And if he goes down at any time, which literally most years, if not every year, he goes down at some point in the year, if not twice, for at least 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. He is such a big impact on this team. And now he's an even bigger impact on this team, being the captain of the team, being announced as the captain of Manly next year, about 2 weeks ago. And I just look at all these losses like that Manly have had, like squad-wise in the team. A guy like sort of Josh Aloiai, he's retired. Gordon Chancom Tong, I think he's a little big loss as well. Daly Cherry Evans is gone to the Roosters. Lockie Croker's just retired today, unfortunately. Shout out to him. One of the better players, a really good bloke. Jazz Tavangas off to the Super League as well. a lot of these players that were in the starting 13 last year for Manly, or in amongst the squad, are now gone. And now I look at who they've recruited. Apart from Jamal Fogarty, they've got Kobe Henderson. I think is a good signing as well. But Jake Trbojevic is another year older. And if Turbo goes down, does obviously Lehigh probably goes to fullback. Looks like Ruben Garrick's going to be moving on at the end of next year. My big thing for Manly as well is the coaching. I am not a big believer in Anthony Seibold. Next year they've got Mick Ennis joining the coaching staff as well. How is he going to go as an assistant coach in amongst there? I just don't know. This Mick Ennis, I get it, he's just an assistant coach, but he's a guy that's just been sort of commentating for the last sort of 6 years, I believe, sort of since Sharkies won that premiership. And now he's really involved with the team. He's going to have to put all his commitment to it. I'm not sure what it's like with his commitment to Fox League anymore. But in terms of Seibold, I just don't see Seibold taking his team to new heights or even more improved to what they were this year, where they finished, I think, 12th. Pretty disappointing. And now you've got a new 7 in there. Tommy Trbojevic, another year on. Jake Trbojevic is another year older. I just don't see where this team is going. So, yeah, bit of surprise, but I have Manly finishing 16th, second last this season. They are currently at $15 for the most losses this season. So I don't think they'll get the wooden spoon, but I think they'll be pretty bloody close. Not a good year happening for Manly for mine. All right, coming in at 15th, we have got the Gold Coast Titans. And this is not me bagging out the Titans, saying that they'll be crap another year. I do think the first year under Josh Hannay, they'll make some small building steps. Similar to what I think the Eels did this year with Jason Ryles. I am a big fan of Jason Ryles, right? I thought he copped a lot in the media at the start of the year. He said, literally, honestly, at the start of the year, it's a rebuilding year. And I think it's the same for the Titans. I get it, they've been rebuilding for so long, but they have to rebuild. I think you've got a new coach trying to build a new culture into this team. I think they're going to be brutal start of the year, maybe to mid-year, and then they'll start to really sort of build some stepping stones into what the sort of Gold Coast Titans and the culture will look like and how they want to play. If they solidify the halves and the backline what they actually want with Keanu Keeney, AJ Brimson, obviously Jaden Campbell there as well, then they can actually really solidify a solid team, I think. And I think you'll actually be able to see something pretty solid happen with this Titans team in the future. Maybe not next year, but maybe 2027, 2028, I can maybe see them getting to finals footy. They signed Lockie Ilias. I don't think he's going to be playing, but I think it's a solid signing. Max Fine, I think that's a really good signing from the Dolphins as well. They have lost a little bit as well on their team. They've lost AKP. He wasn't getting played. I think it's still a big loss. I do think Josh Hannay probably would have used him. They've lost Ruben Campbell-Gillard. He's getting a little bit older. Isaac Fa'asuamaleaui, so it's Tino's brother. He's now off to the Super League. David Fafita, he wasn't getting featured this year in the team, but we know the talents that David Fafita has. And also Kieran Foran has retired as well, one of the legends of rugby league, and he was playing a lot in the halves for the Titans this year. But if JC, AJ Brimson, and Keanu Keeney can all stay healthy this year, I do think there is some potential for the Titans, but I just think there's so many other better teams in the comp that they're just sort of probably going to struggle to just break that threshold. I think they'll have a few upsets next year for sure, but I think we'll see at the end of the year, we'll see some stepping stones into where this Gold Coast team is heading under Josh Hannay, with the potential of the rumours of Craig Bellamy coaching there in 2027. All right, coming in at 14th to round out the bottom four, and it's the wooden spooners this year. I'm going to go the Newcastle Knights. So the marquee signing pretty much of the whole NRL, the biggest contract in the whole NRL, Dylan Brown, is coming to Newcastle. The $15 million man on a 10-year contract joins the Knights. He'll go straight into the halves. Pretty confident he'll be going straight into that 7 role, but I think first year under Justin Holbrook, you're going to probably see a little bit of here and there at the start of the year. But again, I think they'll start to come good during the middle of the year and the end of the year. I really like this back line and the second rowers for the Knights. I really just do worry about the forward pack, but the attack should be a whole lot better, I think, this year. You've got a lot more potency on attack. If KP can stay healthy, you got Fletcher Sharp having a breakout year if he can stay healthy at 6. You got Dylan Brown obviously coming in. Phoenix Crossland, a New Zealand international, a guy I'm a really big fan of. Sandon Smith is there coming off the bench. I think Sandon off the bench is going to be super handy. I think Trey Mooney, I think he's a pretty sort of handy signing as well, but they haven't really lost anyone massively important like Jaden Brayley, maybe Jack Cogger, Kai Pierce-Paul as well, but mainly in the forwards, as I said, like Leo Thompson is a big loss to the Bulldogs. They're really going to struggle in the middle, I think, the Knights next year, just getting that go forward. So we'll see how that goes. But I don't think they'll be struggling to score points just for how much talent they have in this team. Obviously, you got Dylan Lucas coming back from injury as well. So Newcastle Knights, first year under Justin Holbrook. He's obviously had a few years at the Gold Coast, not too much success, but we know how much success he's had before at St. Helens. I think, he won 3 or 4 years in a row with St. Helens. So this guy is not shy of winning and knowing how to coach a winning team. It's just, can he bring that culture to Newcastle? I believe he can. I just think we'll see a couple of sort of ugly stepping stones at the start. Dylan Brown settling in with KP, just sort of building that connection. But I think during the middle of the year, he's not going to be playing Origin. I think Walsh will probably be playing Queensland as well. I don't think the spine will be changing too much during the season, and there won't be any need for any shuffling like it has the past few years with your Jack Coggers, with it's just all sorts of shit happening there. But I just don't think that will be happening this year next year with Newcastle. So Newcastle still mediocre, I think, but finishing 14th, a little bit improved from last year. All right, coming in at 13th, we have got the West Tigers. So probably a lot of people are thinking the West Tigers will go close to making the top 8 next year. I think they will. Honestly, we'll see some moments for sure from the Tigers. They don't really have sort of an excuse. You've obviously got your second year with Jerome Luai. No more Lockie Galvin in there, obviously, but you've got some really good additions. You obviously got sort of Dream Bullet in there now as well. You've got Talon De Silva in at number 9. Sorry, not Talon De Silva anymore. You obviously got Appy Coruscant in at number 9. They've lost Talon De Silva to Parramatta. Guy like Kai Pierce-Paul, I think, is a really, really solid signing for the Tigers coming into next year as well. And we know that they've got a pretty solid forward pack as well. It's just whether they can get that ticker and get some wins on the board with Benji. Benji in his 3rd year now with the Tigers, but I still think we'll see some moments where the Tigers will think, can they make the 8? Can they make the 8? They're looking good. This is it. And then we'll see moments of the Tigers where we go like, okay, no, they're still in that sort of same sort of thing. Like, they're not doing too much. They're sort of really sort of struggling to sort of, get going. Latu Finu was the guy I was thinking about at number 6, but going to be interesting to see where the Tigers do go next year. I do think they can make, again, a little bit of progress, maybe just finish sort of similar to what they did this year. All right, heading into 12th place, and I have got the inconsistent North Queensland Cowboys. They finished about that sort of same spot this year, and I think it's just going to be sort of a similar year. Just a lot of sort of inconsistencies happening with the Cowboys. I look at their signings. Reid Marnie is the only sort of main signing that they have made this year. Haven't lost a whole... when I say haven't lost a whole bunch, they've lost Reece Robson, which I think is a big loss. Reid Marnie coming in as his replacement, but I rate Reece Robson more than Reid Marnie. Obviously, he's an Origin player. Reid Marnie is not, but Tom Duffy, he's now gone to the Brisbane Broncos as well, but a guy like Jordan McLean has retired now. Sammy Valemay is off to the Super League, but if I look at a guy like Scott Drinkwater, Tommy Dearden, now Reid Marnie, I guess, as well, these guys just really do have to step up for the Cowboys this year. You got Jason Tamalola, he's another year older, and just Griffin Neem, I believe he's going to be out at the start of the year. So is Jeremiah Nanai. You got Helium Lukey coming back from injury. I just think you're going to see inconsistencies again from the Cowboys, where one day they can go and beat the Roosters or the Panthers, that sort of thing, and then the other day they'll go and concede 40 to the Titans or something, or go down to Parramatta and lose by 40, that sort of thing. You just don't really know what you're going to get from the Cowboys on game day, and I don't even think Todd Payton knows what he's going to get from the Cowboys on game day. I don't think Todd Payton is a bad coach. I don't think he is an amazing coach, though. Can he take them to potentially a final spot? He did a couple years ago. But is he potential this team going bottom 4? Yeah, I think so, that as well. Is he potentially under pressure this year for a coaching spot? I think potentially, yeah. Like, why not? Like $8 to have the most losses, 4th favorite. So they're going to be, like, odds-wise, they're in amongst the sort of the top 4 teams to have, like, maybe in the bottom 4. I've got them rated a tiny bit higher. Maybe I'm giving them a little bit too much credit. Maybe we'll look back at the end of the year. Maybe the Tigers have finished above the Cowboys, or maybe the Titans have finished above the Cowboys. You just don't know what you're going to get from the Cowboys. I don't see them playing finals footy next year. It was just a bit hard to sort of where to know to place them. Just based on this year, I said you just had no idea what you were going to get from the Cowboys. So place them in there amongst the sort of the bottom half of the 8 in the 12th place there, but it was probably one of the harder ones to pick, honestly. I just don't know what I'm going to get from the Cowboys next year. Is Reed Marnie going to be a good fit? I don't know. He gets in the nitty-gritty, but I just don't know how he's going to combine with, Tom Dearden, Scott Drinkwater, that sort of thing. So, going to be interesting to see how the Cowboys match up next year up north in Townsville there. Coming in at number 11, and I think this is where we sort of start our surprise packets, because I have put the minor premiers for this year, the Canberra Raiders, in at 11th there. You might be thinking it's a bit controversial, but I am thinking this is a one-season wonder this year from the Canberra Raiders, a team that just absolutely rose from nowhere. They were pretty much tied favourites to be almost wooden spoon favourites at the start of the year for the wooden spoon, and then they just rose and played such good footy all bloody year. I think they lose 3 or 4 games all year to get the minor premiership. Absolutely steamrolled home the minor premiership and then lose in straight sets. I get it, Ethan Strange being out in that second final was a big loss for them, but now you've got a guy that really did control a lot of their kicking game last year, Jamal Fogarty. He is now gone. He's obviously gone to Manly. Now you've got Ethan Sanders coming into that 7 role, potentially Cody Black as well from the Broncos. He might be coming down a little bit early and competing with Ethan Sanders for that role there. Now you've completely put Ethan Sanders. I get it. He's such a talent coming into this NRL, right? But straight into a starting role in a team that's going to be really hunted, I think, next year. A lot of people that sort of underestimated this team this year. And now I think they're going to be really under pressure to sort of back that up. And I'm not sure how Ricky Stewart will go about that. I'm not bagging him at all. He's obviously a minor premiership captain, coach of the year. It's just, this team can't get better. It can only get worse, in my opinion. If it gets worse, it could get really bad really quick, right? And where's it going to go at number 9? Like, they've kept Tom Starling, they've kept Owen Paddy, but now they've signed Jaden Brayley. Who's going to be the starting 9 for the Raiders at the start of next year? Will it be the same number 9 that's starting for the Raiders at the end of the year? Does Ricky Stewart have confidence that he knows which number 9 is going to flourish next year? I don't think he does. The big thing for the Raiders is they've got a huge forward pack, like a massive forward pack. You got your Corey Horsburgh, Josh Papali'i, you got your Joe Tarpanese. You obviously got elite second rows like your Hudson Youngs, Zach Hoskins, your Matty Nicholsons. All these players that have the potential to really do big numbers in the forwards for Raiders. Can they back it up like they did last year? Will they sort of have a bit of fatigue from all the highs and lows that they had last year, all these comeback wins? I just think a lot of these comeback wins that they had might catch up to them next year, and I can really see them, like, not necessarily luck, but maybe not having as many of these comeback wins if they're in trouble at halftime, not winning as many of the close ones. But going to be really interesting to see, right? I like their signs. Jaden Brayley, Sione Finau from the Dragons. That's a huge loss for the Dragons. And Dane Laurie as well. I don't know how much game time Dane Laurie will realistically get with KO Weeks at fullback there. Just a very young spine now, especially if you have KO Weeks at fullback. You've got Ethan Sanders at 7, Ethan Strange at 6, and potentially Owen Paddy at 9. Just a very young spine that's trying to drive around this team. And I just need to see where the kicking game is going to come from the Raiders as well. So they're probably easily my biggest downfall for a team coming into next year. I just want to see if they can back it up. I'll put my hand up if they can finish top 4 again. I just think it was a one-season wonder. I just don't think they'll even make the top 8. And I've got the Raiders finishing 11th next year. All right, heading into our top 10 teams. We're nearly halfway through. I so badly want this team to make the top 8, in all honesty. I so badly do. And it was so hard not to. But when I was doing this up and I was looking at the other sort of 9 teams ahead, I was just like, which team out of this other 9 teams, even the team above, I put them there, is going to miss the 8? That can realistically see missing the 8. There's so many stacked teams next year. There's so many good teams around. And it's the Dolphins coming in at 10th. I really do want them to make their first finals appearance. And I do think they're so close. They were there amongst it this year. So the mid-year, I think they were top 4 or something. They're playing such good footy, had good wins on the road. Then they just sort of started to fall off a little bit, and then by the end of it, the defense just absolutely fell off a cliff. Easily conceding over 30 points a game. Just a bit of a disaster, really, for the Dolphins in the end there. And I have so much belief in this team and where it's going, especially with Christian Wolf. I think their signings are pretty good as well. They've got Selwyn Cobbo coming next year. They've got Morgan Knowles coming from St. Helens. They've got Brad Schneider coming up from Penrith. I think that's really good as well. Sebastian Schiller from the Knights as well. You look at their losses that they've had going to next year. Kenny Bromwich retired. Big loss for experience. Max Fine, I think, is a big loss. Harrison Graham, a really young talent that was coming through for the Dolphins there. Josh Kerr, he's been a really fundamental part of the Dolphins, I think, in the last couple of years. Mark Nichols, one of the surprise forwards that you just see, just gets in and gets the work done and gets out. He's such a vital player in this forward pack, I think. He's now retired. Sean O'Sullivan, he has been pretty good for them when he's had to step into that role. I get it. Cody Nikarima is probably the better option, and he's still there. I wish they used Junior Tupou a little bit more than what they did. He is now off to the Roosters. I wish they used Junior Tupou a little bit more than what they did this year, but I so badly want this Dolphins team to make it. But when I look at the other 9 teams that I put ahead of them, I just think potentially on paper and across a whole season, 27 games, I just think they'll just struggle near the end just to capitalize, and they need to have some big wins in the road. They need to be able to go down to Sydney and beat the Bulldogs or something, or beat the Roosters or something. Can they have that potential? Yeah, but can I see it? I just don't know. I think Hammer needs to have a really big year consistently with Izzy Katoa, and obviously JMK has to stay healthy as well. All right, coming into 9th place, just missing out on finals footy next year. I've said it a lot in my podcast for the last few weeks. That was my Smoky to make the top 8. But now when I properly looked at who's going to make the top 8 next year, I still think they're a Smoky to make the 8. And I've got them in at 9th, and that is the Parramatta Eels. I really, really did like where they went this year with Jason Ryles. And all honesty, they started so badly, right? It was Jason Ryles' first year as a head coach. He publicly came out and said that this was going to be a rebuilding year for the Parramatta Eels. And I said, it's going to be a rebuilding year. They're going to have some struggles, but it was so clear to see halfway through the season, which I really like, is that the players were buying into the Jason Ryles system. And then you started to see it come to fruition halfway through, and near the end of the year, they started having some really bloody good wins. And I get it, now they've lost Dylan Brown. But near the end of the year, Jason Ryles wasn't even playing him because he knew he was off to Newcastle. So they may as well get Papali'i in, Josiah in, paired with Moses, trying to get that combo going. Trying to get Asei Iongi more games at fullback. Trying to get Talon De Silva and Riley Smith, a duo, more games in at number 9 and 14, working together. I just really like what he did in those last 6 or 7 games. He really almost had his 2026 round 1 lineup playing in the last 6-7 rounds of 2025 to get a really good idea to where this Eels team is heading and how he wants this Eels team to look. And I just think they're going to go a bit better next year. obviously the main thing 100% is Mitch Moses staying healthy. If he can stay healthy all year and play 20 games, let's say he obviously plays Origin as well, there is no reason why the Eels cannot be making the 8 like next year, especially with so much talent around Mitch Moses. And if Jermaine Hopgood, I think he has to have a big year next year. He didn't have one of his better years. I get it. He's coming back from a back injury. I think he still looked like he had a back injury maybe halfway through the year. Starting getting a little bit better in the back half there. But they've got a huge year, I think, Parramatta coming next year. I just think, again, it's another stepping stone for Jason Riles to prove what this team can do. Would not shock me at all to see this Eels team in the top 8 next year and playing finals footy. I believe they can be definitely one of the smokies of the NRL next year, particularly if Mitch Moses stays healthy, particularly. All right, coming in, let's do our top 8, baby. And my goodness gracious me, this was fucking tough. This was bloody tough to do. Like, there are so many talented teams going around in the NRL, not just this year, but next year as well. Unbelievably talented teams. You could have the team I've got coming 8th. They could finish top 4. You've got a team that's coming 4th. If they just have a couple injuries, a slip a little, they could finish 8th. They could miss the 8. It's so tight, I reckon, between these like top 8, 9, 10 teams, maybe even 11 if you throw the Raiders in there. That could finish sort of. You could literally like pick a name out of the hat and go like, yep. There you go. They'll finish top 4, and they will. Like, you could just do your ladder prediction. I could just literally sit here with a pile of names, go, let's start from first, pick out a name, go like, okay, yep, they could probably win the minor premiership. I could probably realistically see that. It's just so hard, but it makes the competition so bloody good. But in 8th place, I've got the Rabbitohs. They have to have a bounce back year, man. Their main thing is staying healthy, right? Last year, they just had like a record amount of, or this year, they had a record amount of injuries. It was just crazy to see the injuries that they had. They were pulling guys out of, bloody Jersey Flake to come play for them, like 2 divisions below. 18, 19-year-olds making their debuts in the halves. Like, shout out to Ashton Ward. He's going to be better this year, and I quite like the signings that they've made, the South Sydney Rabbitohs, for next year. The big one being David Fifita. If Wayne Bennett can get David Fifita mentally right, physically fit, on that left edge, holy shit. You're going to have David Fifita, Latrell Mitchell, Cody Walker, and AJ. Like, Alex Johnson. It could be one of the most lethal left edges in the comp if they train right and they stay healthy. But at some point like this year, Latrell got injured. Cody Walker was injured with a calf injury most of the year. We know David Fifita, he was out with just whatever was happening there. And AJ, he was sort of battling injuries as well here and there, coming off an Achilles. So many injuries impacted this team. But if they can stay healthy, Cam Murray's coming back next year. If they can just stay healthy, this team just has to make the 8. The team is too good on paper to not make the 8, in my opinion. They've got one of the better coaches out there. They just have absolutely no excuse, I think, for next year. They've got a couple good signings like Mawala Graham Tafa from the Warriors. Played New South Wales Cup a lot in the centres for the Warriors. Absolute talent. For backup, they got Edward Cossey. He's had his moments for the Warriors, but he's also had his good moments for these Warriors as well. He's a good enough replacement if one of these, if like a Tyrone Munro gets injured or something. You're Campbell Graham. He's got to have a healthy preseason as well. This team is stacked on paper. Ashton Ward, I think, is a really dynamic 7. I think they'll be starting Jamie Humphries at 9. If he gets a full preseason at number 9, this team can go places. As I said, so much potential. Keon Kalamatangi, Tallis Duncan, what a talent he was at the end of last year, scoring doubles left, right, and center. This team is stacked, but the main thing is them to stay healthy. If they stay healthy, I think they've replaced their fitness coaches, that sort of thing. This team will be making top 8 and playing finals footy for me next year. And honestly, it could be one of those things that if they stay healthy, this team can make the top 4. But for that, at the moment, I just have them finishing 8th. All right. Another speculation one for me as well. Not one we're used to seeing. At 7th place, I've got the Melbourne Storm. I know what you're thinking, and my face is kind of showing it. It's just like, holy shit, the Melbourne Storm finishing 7th. Are you drunk, Squishy? No, I'm not drunk. Shit, it's just, I just think there's a lot of distractions happening for this Melbourne Storm team next year. You've got, now you've got this R360 comp being delayed. You now got the potential of Pappenhausen coming back next season. I don't think he will come back. I actually think he might go to another club. Grant Anderson is gone. Bronson Garlick is gone. Jonah Pezzett is gone, their replacement half. I get you've got the Dalian halfback there, Jerome Pugh, Dalian winner. You've got Cameron Munster, the captain of Queensland and Australian team. You're going to have Harry Grant, one of the best, literally the best number 9 in the world. Then you're going to have a guy like Suafa Ologo finally get his shot at fullback there. Finally, a full season there. This team is still so talented on paper, but I just think, like, Eli Katoa, I think he is a huge loss for this team. I think Pappenhausen, I think he's a big loss for this team as well. I just think there's a lot of distractions happening with this team, and if there's one coach that can pull around this team and get them going still, it's Craig Bellamy. I still think they'll play finals football, but I still just think you'll see a little bit of chinks in the armor where maybe you saw this year, like, this isn't the same Storm team we're used to seeing. And I get it. They literally still finished second, right? Still had a home final against the Doggies. Won that. Still had a home prelim against the Sharks. Won that and still lost in the grand final. And they were leading at halftime. How does a team that just lost in the grand final finish 7th? I just think distractions, if one of these players goes down with injury, I think you could see the Storm lose a few games next year that we're not used to seeing. I just think they may struggle a little bit, and I still think they'll be playing finals footy, and they could still win the comp from 7th. Don't even get me wrong. It's bloody hard to do it, but as I said, there's a coach that can do it around finals time. It's Craig Bellamy. I'm not sure about the forward pack. I think Eli Katoa's a big loss. I'm not sure who the left edge front row is going to be, whether it's Sean Bloor, whether it's Joe Chan, I think it's Lasati, and it's just like, it's just different, right? It's just a different team for the Storm. Wouldn't shock me again. Wouldn't shock me if they get second. Wouldn't shock me if they finish minor premiers. But I just think the Storm will have their struggles next year. I've got them finishing 7th for the year. All right, heading into our top 6. And I really tried not to be biased, right? But I've decided to put my Warriors there at 6th place. I think that's a pretty sort of happy median without sort of bias, all right? We finished 6th this year. I think we'll probably finish 6th again next year. Would it shock me if we finished top 4? Absolutely not. Would it shock me if we missed the 8? I would be Devo. I would probably be a little bit surprised. I really did like where this team headed this year, right? Obviously, I'm wearing a Warriors jersey. I'm a Warriors fan. You see the Warriors jersey behind me. I went to Warriors games last year. I am a big, big Warriors fan, right? Up the wires, all the way. I believe in this team so much. And I truly do believe next year, if this team can stay healthy, it's so key to staying healthy like any other team, this team can actually have a lot of potential. You got James Fisher-Harris in his second year. You got Mitch Barnett. I get he's coming off an ACL, but he's such an influential forward in this team. If he can stay healthy, he's going to be playing Origin as well. For me, the big one, obviously, Luke Metcalf, and he can stay healthy all year. He's prone to injuries. He's so prone to injuries. If he can stay healthy and produce the footy that he did in the first half of this year, why can't this team finish better than 6th? I just think we may suffer a few injuries in the year. I love the signing of AKP, Khan Pereira. I think that is a huge signing for the Warriors. I'm very intrigued to see if he's starting round 1. I'm very intrigued to see if, you have RTS and DWZ still in the wing. I assume so. I'm really intrigued to see if they just chuck Tane Torpicky at fullback straight away. I hope so. I want to see a guy like Rocco Berry, and, Adam Pompey maybe in the centers. Obviously, you got C&K still there in the centers. You got a guy like Ali Leitawa. He's still there playing New South Wales Cup. So much talent still on this team. And I just really do believe in this team. Hazen Mellors, I think, is an awesome signer from South Sydney as well. I get it. We have lost so many New South Wales Cup players, right? Like Dylan Walker, he left halfway through last year to the Eels. Edward Cossey we lost. Moala Graham Talfa to South. Kalani Going. These guys all played New South Wales Cup and all won. Toby Crosby, Tom Ale, Bonte Afoa, a little bit of an impact bench player for us. I really do believe in this team. I was trying so hard not to be biased, and I just do believe in this team. They can make top 4 next year. I'd be so disappointed if we didn't make top 8. I think we'd have to have a lot of injuries, I think. I really like CHT, Harris DeVita, where he's going in the number 6 jersey. I just don't see any reason why we can't have success yet again. But I've just put them at 6 because I do think there's a lot of talented teams above the Warriors as well next year. Alrighty, we have 5 teams left for my ladder prediction. Let's round out the top 5. And we've got a team that finished in the top 4 this year. Finished 3rd on the ladder, and that is the Canterbury Bulldogs, finishing in 5th this year. Or next year, sorry. Oh, it's so hard to predict this Bulldogs team, right? Like, they're going in such a good direction. It's probably more a thing that, like, I've looked at the other 4 teams that are put above them and just thought they're going to be better, just an overall better footy team next year. I wouldn't be shocked if the Doggies finish top 4 again next year. It would not shock me. They've really got this culture built now. They've really got this, not aura, but really just got this, like, in the name, this dog built in them, right, where they stay in the fight and they can really win these tough games and really battle out a low-scoring game, whether it's like a 12-10 or like a 16-14 or something like that. And they've really just built like this culture where they know they can win now as well, which is they've come so far from a few years ago, which how bad they were. Lockie Galvin, first full preseason with the Doggies, is going to be super interesting with Cameron Ciraldo as well. We know the type of guy that Lockie Galvin is, so young. I think he's turning 20 this year, or next year, sorry. In the Doggy system where he doesn't get as much freelance as he did with the Tigers, but there's so much controversy with Lockie Galvin like this year, right? With a mid-season signing, and he's chucked straight in the deep end. They were playing so well with Matt Burton and Toby Sexton there in the halves, and then they decided to sort of ditch it. They're literally leading the comp after, 11, 12 rounds, and decided to ditch Toby Sexton and Matt Burton in the halves to get Lockie Galvin in there. And they just thought, like, short-term pain, long-term success, long-term gain. And they started struggling a little bit. They honestly started struggling a little bit, having sort of Matt Burton at 6 or Lockie Galvin at 7, and dropping Sexton, or putting Matt Burton in the centers and having Galvin and Sexton in the halves. It just wasn't quite working. But what I will say is now Sexton isn't there. They know who the halves are going to be for next year, and I get it. They got smashed in that final against Penrith, but the best man for the Bulldogs in that final was Lockie Galvin, and it wasn't even close in my opinion. He had a really good assist for Jacob Preston for that first try, and I think he really did put in, honestly, in that final, and really was the best on ground for the Doggies in that final. And I think that shows a lot to his character and the potential he has as a player. We obviously know the potential he has. He's going to be one of the best of our generation, I think. And this team is... The big thing for them, I think, is the forward pack, and they're boosting it. They've got Leo Thompson coming next year, and I think that's a really big boost for the Doggies, where they sort of did struggle a little bit this year, in my opinion, and just sort of were a little bit lackluster there. But you've got guys like William Makika, you got guys like Jacob Preston there, you've got guys like Jacob Keras, Stephen Crichton. I do believe they're still one key fullback away from going to that next step. I don't know if Connor Tracy just is the guy. I really like Connor Tracy, and I want to know that he's a good, solid player, but is he the type of guy that's really going to take you to that next step as a team and win these final games? I just don't think so. Like, they lost last year to Manly, and then they go out in straight sets this year. It was such a shame. Like, I think maybe, I don't know if they can win a finals game this year or next year. It's just, is Connor Tracy the guy as a fullback? You know that you can trust in a finals game to have that cutout pass and have maybe a try or 2 try assists in a final, or go run for over 250 meters in a final, like compared to like your Dylan Edwards or like your moments like Pappenhausen, your moment like your Reece Walsh's, that sort of thing. I just don't quite know, and it's the thing that annoys me because I really do like Connor Tracy. I really like Bailey Hayward. I think he's going to be awesome at 9. But I said I really like the signing of Leo Thompson. They've got Cade Dykes there as well. I think Cade Dykes from the Sharks could be one of the talents. If he ends up getting a start the Doggies next year, I think he can really put a foot forward for them. So, going to be interesting. I don't think they'll be like any worse. I just think there's 4 other better teams. I just think that will just be slightly better than the Bulldogs they were this year, and they're finishing 5th. They could literally just finish just outside the top 4. I still think they'll be a very, very solid team next year. All right, top 4, baby. Let's get into it. So these 4 teams will be playing 100% finals footy and getting that extra week, potentially a week off heading to prelims. So let's get into 4th. I am going to go the Sydney Roosters, a team that finished 8th this year, just sneaking into the finals. However, this team is so stacked going into next year. Unbelievable. I think they are the best team on paper heading into 2026. Whether there's too many cooks in the kitchen and they can pull it all together, or it's just one big team of individual brilliance like your LA Lakers or that sort of thing, I'm not so sure. I do think this team will be awesome next year. They will be awesome next year, I think. You've got, obviously, the marquee signing of DCE. Whether he plays 6 or 7, I think he'll be so good for Sammy Walker. I think they'll take a couple games to gel together, but I think he'll just slot right into this Roosters team. Absolutely no worries. I'm not comparing Daly Cherry-Evans to a Cooper Cronk, but you got to remember, Daly Cherry-Evans, he's like, 36 now? He's a premiership winner. He's the captain his state to many series. He knows he's got a good kicking game. He's got a pretty good running game as well. He knows how to lead a team around the field. Now you chuck in the New South Wales number 9 into this team as well, starting at number 9. And now you've got the other New South Wales bench, like utility, number 14, Connor Watson. He's going to be coming off the bench, maybe even starting at 13 for the Roosters. That means you're probably going to have Radley going at 12. You've got Siwa Wong. You've got Naf White, who had an awesome year this year. This team is going to be unbelievably stacked. You're going to, obviously, James Tedesco. You still got Nwani Tawase at the wing there. You still got Daniel Tupou on the wing. You've still got Robert Toya, a guy who was a rookie this year. Now he's in his second year, played Origin this year. Billy Smith, I think he's talented in his day, but I said this spine is absolutely stacked. All played rep football before. Except Sammy Walker. I do think he'll play rep football in the future. But this team is stacked 1 to 17, in my opinion. I think a guy like Savala, he connected so well in the halves this year. He's going to be coming off the bench. I think he's going to be so handy. Like a guy like Aielu, who was on the bench for the Roosters a lot, even starting for I think he's unlucky to be probably getting dropped next year. This Roosters team is stacked. I think they're the best team on paper. Whether Trent Robinson can pull them all together and create this mega team that just combines so well, that is another story. But this team on paper is super exciting. I think they will kill some teams next year. They have made some awesome signings for the first time in a few years, and they've really got a solid structure. They've got good spine, they've got a good forward pack, got good edge rollers, they've got rep players all around the bloody field, and I think this team will be awesome next year. I get it. That's why I've got them top 4. I really think they can definitely be one of the top 4 teams next year. And honestly, the 3 teams I put above them, I just think they're just awesome as well. It's going to be an amazing comp next year, but I really like the look of this Rooster team next year, and I'll be shocked if they finish worse than outside the top 4, just given how good this team looks on paper. All right, the coming in at 3rd, so just missing out on a home final, but potentially getting a home prelim or home final the next week, and that is the Cronulla Sharkies. Up. Cronulla. Alrighty. So, a team that finished 5th on the ladder this year. coming in, I think they'll finish top 4 next year. They have made no signings for next year so far, which I'm not too phased about because they've had the same fucking starting 17 for it feels like 3 or 4 years now, and I just think they're going to keep getting better and better and better. Had a couple losses, obviously Daniel Atkinson off the Dragons, Kay Dykes as well off to the Bulldogs, but Kay Dykes was never really starting that team. Daniel Atkinson was a guy coming off the bench. You still got Will Kennedy, you still got Trindle, you still got Hines, and you still got Blake Brayley there in the spine. Blake Brayley was probably arguably the best hooker in the comp for the last half of this year. Just unbelievable footy he was playing out of absolutely nowhere. Second year for Adam Fanua-Blake in that team there. You've got just Tom Hazelton. You've got Britton Nickera. You've got Teague Wilton. Yeah, it's just so many talent. The only really loss is probably Ronnie Mulatalo until about August. He's out with the ACL. But you slot a guy in like Sammy Stonestreet, who's been there, done that a few times now for the Sharkies. A very good replacement on the wing for the Sharkies. You're not like debuting this kid. We know how talented Sammy Stonestreet is. Then you got a guy like KL Iro, who's just fucking mint. You got a guy like Jesse Ramey in there as well. Still Sione Katoa. Then you got a guy like Sifa Talakai on the bench. This team is loaded, and I'm a Nico Hines guy, right? I have always been a Nico Hines guy. I really do like this guy, and I think he's so talented, and I just think he so badly wants to take this next step and prove to everyone that he can do it. And we've seen it the last couple of years, where in 2024 they won their first finals game, and then lost to Penrith, and then in 2025 this year they beat the Roosters in a final where Roosters actually favourites at Shark Park in that game. And then they went to Canberra, the minor premiers, and beat them, 13 plus in that game? And they played awesome in that game as well. I get no Ethan Strange. They still would have won that game even if Ethan Strange played. And they put up a very competitive performance against the Storm in that prelim. I just think the Storm are a very good team this year, and they just probably lost to the better team. But they were honestly so close to playing a grand final this year. It would not shock me if this team goes one better this year. We know the regular season juggernauts. We know how good they are during the regular season. They can beat up on the easier teams. It's obviously just trying to beat the better teams, trying to beat Panthers, trying to beat the Broncos, trying to beat like the Roosters again, that sort of thing. He's just Nico Hines. It's all about Nico Hines. He gets bullied all the time in the media. I hate it. He should be coming off the bench. He should be dropped. He should be playing lock. Come on, guys. This guy won Dally M, 2 years ago, starting 7, like coming from fullback. Like, come on, man. Like, we don't give Jerome Hughes this sort of slack, and he came from fullback, and now he's a Dally M winner as well. I get it. He's won grand finals, but I rate Nico Hines so much, and it's just the fact he just hasn't quite done it in the big arena, but I just think he's just going to get better and better, and he's had more experience now, and he really had a good semi against the Raiders there, and I get it, probably didn't have his best game against the Storm in that prelim. I just think he'll be out for revenge this season or next season, and I just can't bloody wait for him to show what the NRL, what he can actually do when it comes to the pressure time. I've got the Sharkies finished in the top 4 this year. Whether they can make a prelim, make a grand final again, that's another story. We'll have to see. But in terms of ladder, I've got them finishing 3rd in the top 4 for this year. All right. Top 2. You can probably guess who the top 2 teams are. The 2 teams that are left to go. And that is... who's going to be number 2? Who's going to be number 1? All right, coming in at second, I have got our premiers from this year, the Brisbane Broncos, coming in at second. Obviously, awesome team, right? Absolute gun team. What more can you say about this Broncos team? They were absolutely unreal this year, the way that came home in the back half. I think the Stars really did align for them. Reece Walsh played absolutely out of his mind NRL football. Clive Churchill winner. The last 10, 11 weeks that he had with that Reynolds and Ezra in that team were just incredible. Some of the best footy I've ever seen. And there's no reason why the Broncos can't be as good as they were in that back half of this year, and they can't do that like next year. Like, there's no reason why they can't. They haven't really lost a massive amount. The lost Fletcher Baker wasn't really in there. Like Selwyn Cobbo, he was injured in the back half of last year. Kobe Hetherington is their main loss at the lock there, starting lock there. But you got Grant Anderson coming in. You obviously got Tom Duffy coming in. Obviously, Kobe Black is left there as well. But now they've obviously put the chips in and said Tom Duffy is going to be the number 7 or heading into the 2027 season, it looks like. And like, what's stopping this Broncos team from doing that once again? I just think there's one better team next year that's going to beat them. Obviously, that's the Penrith Panthers. But no reason why this Broncos team cannot be featuring next year. They're just an absolute juggernaut. They've got talent all around the field. I can clearly see why they were the premiership winners this year. They've got a good coach with Madge Maguire. I think they'll be a very, very, very good team again next year. I've got them finishing second, just behind our minor premiers, the Penrith Panthers. A team that just lost to the Broncos in the prelim finals this year. They finished 7th this year on the ladder. Went to New Zealand, beat the Warriors in the first final. Then they went and smashed the Doggies in the semi-final. Then they lose to the Broncos at the nitty-gritty end to the Broncos in Brisbane, up 14-0 and choke it away. Honestly, if they beat the Broncos, they probably would have beaten the Storm in that grand final, in all honesty. Just a champion team. Obviously, we know they've won 4 in a row from 2021 to 2024. Grand final 2020, prelim final this year. Juggernaut team. I just think they're going to kick bloody ass next year. I get it. I posted a reel. They've got the hardest draw, I think, next year. But I just think this team was so used to sort of playing away from home this year. They played all their home games at CommBank. They're not phased about anywhere they played. They're not phased about who's in front of them. They know pretty much they've got the best halfback in the game, which is Nathan Cleary. They've got an origin fullback, which is Dylan Edwards. They've got second-year Blaze Talangi. You've got Moses Leota still up front. You've got Lindsay Smith still up front. You still got Liam Martin. You still got Isaiah Papali'i in his second year. Scott Sorensen. You've got Brian To'o. You've got Casey McLean. You've got Isaac Tonga. You've got a superstar team in this Panthers team. I just think they will pump some teams next year. They'll be out for so much revenge, and I just think they'll win the minor premiership by at least a win. I think they'll win easily 20 games next year. I don't know why. I think they'll win the minor premiership. I think they'll win the comp as well. I think they'll blow teams away next year. This team is just so good. They've got such a good coach as well. And I just think they had a tired start to the year this year. And they will literally last, after 12, 13 rounds and still finish 7th. Still managed to just lose in the prelim. They were so close to making another grand final. This team is just epic. They haven't lost any players. They've signed Tom Ale. There's Jack Cogger's back. Kalani going. They've signed two of the best Warriors New South Wales Cup players. They've just absolutely got it going for them next year, I reckon. All signs for me point to Panthers just dominating the comp next year. They won't lose to any bottom 8 teams next year. They won't really struggle. I think they'll really cope during Origin time once again. They'll still have Blaze Talangi to control around the field. Jack Cogger will be the 7 now, going into Origin period next year for Nathan Cleary. They'll just be epic next year. Mitch Kenny, always going to be the number 9. He's not an Origin player. They've got Moses Leota. He's obviously going to be there during the Origin period. He's a Kiwi international. This team is just awesome. I just think they'll just absolutely pump it next year. Just pump it. Just absolutely just go to town. Just 22 Jump Street. Just if you're watching on video, you'll know what I'm talking about. They will absolutely smack some teams next year, and I am absolutely here for it because I reckon I'll be sitting here in September or October next year reviewing my ladder prediction. I'll be like, I got this one, absolutely nailed prediction. I just think the Panthers, they'll be the best team by far next year. They are my minor premiers for next year, and they are also my premiership winners as well for 2026. But that will do it for this episode of the Squishy Sport Podcast, giving you my very early, way too early NRL 2026 ladder prediction. We went through every single team from 17th all the way to 1st, giving you my reasons why this team will finish in that position and where their potential is potentially going, whether it's up or whether it's down. I know I'm going to be so wrong in some spots there, and I cannot wait to get roasted and cannot wait to be wrong. But I feel like I'm going to be pretty right about definitely at least a few of them for sure. But as I said, Panthers, my minor premiers for next year, and also my premiership winners for next year. But that will do it for this week's episode of the Scooshy Sports Podcast. Remember to hit that like button on YouTube. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. Remember to follow all my socials as well at Scooshy Sports. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook page. It's all there for you in the bio. I'll see you tomorrow for the Scooshy Sports Report, the Global Sports Roundup, and of course, the Red Zone Report Week 14 edition coming to you on Thursday morning. Thank you so much for watching, and cheers.